Hey everybody, I'm Beth Livingston with WP Roadmaps, and this is episode 11 of Can We Talk About Your WordPress Projects? Today we're going to talk about 5 reasons that your clients do not deliver the content on time, why it's your fault, and what to do about it. But before we do that, I'm going to show you today's t-shirt. If you haven't tuned in to previous episodes, I'm doing the whole Marie Kondo thing where I'm trying to get rid of things that don't spark joy. Well, the problem is I have a bazillion t-shirts and they all spark joy because they have some sort of relationship to WordPress or an event that I've been to. So I've decided for each one of these episodes, I'm wearing a different t-shirt. And so today I'm wearing my Makers of the Web t-shirt that I got because I am a GoDaddy Pro ambassador. And what that means is that when I travel to WordCamps and things like that on behalf of GoDaddy, then I help at the table and I help explain to people what GoDaddy Pro is. GoDaddy Pro is the same as Managed WP. GoDaddy acquired Managed WP a while back, and it gives you a central dashboard where you can not only manage all of your websites, regardless of where they're hosted. You can do all the updates from one dashboard as well as manage your clients. But that's a topic for a whole nother day. In fact, I do have a demo in one of my blog articles on how to use that tool. So go check that out. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description somewhere around this video so you can go check out that demo because it is the greatest tool, saves me a ton of time. And you know me, I'm all about productivity and saving time. Okay, let's get to our topic. Getting content from the client and getting it on time and in the right format is by far and away the biggest struggle that all WordPress solution providers or anybody that builds websites struggles with. And for those reasons, in almost all cases, it's best if you can convince the client not to provide their own content. Now, there is the rare client who can write good content, who can pull together their videos and their images and all of that with no problem, but that is a rarity. So I almost always try to convince the client not to do their own content. Now, why do clients opt to provide their own content? Well, one of the first reasons is that they aren't offered alternatives. Many WordPress solution providers just assume that the client will want to provide their own content, and they never offer reasons why they shouldn't or alternatives to doing it themselves. The client may assume that they just are supposed to provide their own content unless you tell them otherwise. Another reason is the obvious one, and that is to save money. So when investing in a website, most clients believe that they can save money by writing their own content and providing the needed images and videos. And that's true. But in most cases, it's not the wisest decision for getting the website completed on time and within budget. It's important for you to tell them how those delays will end up costing them more than what they might save by doing their own content. Another reason that they opt to do their own content is fear of losing control. Clients often fear that if someone else provides the content that they're going to lose control of the message that they want to convey. So by having a really good review process that provides an easy way for the client to provide feedback, and if you explain this to the client up front, you can help calm those fears. But what if, despite all your efforts, the client still insists on providing their own content? How can you prevent that all too common content collection bottleneck? All right, well, let's look at why it occurs in the first place. The ugly truth is, if your client isn't getting you the content on time or in the right format, it's your fault. That may seem harsh, but here are the reasons that your client doesn't get their content delivered on time. The first one is poor estimating. Most of the time, we arbitrarily set a timeline for the client to complete the content without really doing a deep dive into just how much work is involved. I mean, how many paragraphs will be needed to be written? How many videos or images are needed? How much of this content already exists? If you aren't estimating the content in this way, then your estimate of the time that's needed to complete the activities is nothing more than a guess. You need to estimate content in the form of a rough order of magnitude. This is an educated best guess based on the pages that you are proposing to be included on the site. The next reason that clients don't get the content to you on time is that you haven't set the proper client expectations regarding time. You know, as web designers, we're like 100% focused and devoted to getting the website done and getting it done on time. But we forget that our clients have a business to run, and the website development project is just one piece of that. Consequently, most clients underestimate the time that is going to be needed to get this work done, and they overestimate their availability to do it. So it's your job to clarify, to clearly show the client the time that's going to be involved in getting the content work done. And I mean that in hours, not dates. Sometimes this is all it takes to get the client to agree to having you or a third party take care of those tasks. I mean, sure, they're going to need to provide the raw content in some form in most cases, but having somebody totally devoted to the content tasks with the skills to write properly for the web makes it much more likely that the bottleneck will not occur. It's much easier for the client to provide raw content than to worry about proper writing style, grammar, punctuation, and all that stuff. Thus, they are more likely to do that, which is easier. Another reason that your clients aren't getting their content to you on time is not setting the proper client expectations regarding the process. Do you have a written process for how you will collect that content and then manage the activities? If not, then you need one, and you need to educate the client on that process in the proposal and every conversation you have with them during the pre-proposal process and project execution. The fourth reason that clients do not get content to you on time is that you're using a complicated or unclear process. If you're using emails and cloud storage like Dropbox or Google Drive to manage and store your content, this is soon going to become overwhelming to your client and a maintenance nightmare for you, especially if you have multiple projects happening all at once. If the client is unsure what is needed and when it's needed and where they should upload it and in what format, they're going to avoid doing it. And you'll be wasting lots of time constantly searching through folders to find out what's still missing and then crafting reminder emails. It can be a total time suck. You need a more automated system that breaks the work down into natural chunks and automatically reminds the client when deadlines are approaching and what content is still missing. The good news is there's a tool on the market now that does all of this, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And the final reason that clients do not get their content back to you on time is a lack of incentive to do so. Why would the client need an incentive to get this work done on time? Shouldn't they want to? Shouldn't that be naturally an incentive? But as I mentioned previously, we as the developer have one priority for their project. The client, on the other hand, has competing business priorities every single day. Every astute business owner will prioritize activities they see as being the best for the bottom line at any given moment. Because the completed website is a future event that's then also going to take some additional time to actually affect the bottom line, it's most often going to lose out to other business priorities. One way to address this is to add a cushion to your estimate so that you can offer a discount for compliance with the schedule. Now, please understand this is not the same as a pad to cover change and other unknowns, which is always a bad idea. Instead, it's a method to improve project delivery. Another incentive you can use is to use a content-first development approach, which means that absolutely no development begins until all the content is received. Now, you may do some initial preparation of the development environment, but if the client knows that the project stops until they deliver the content and that all future estimated dates are null and void and that you'll be moving on to work on other projects, then they're more likely to comply. Helping WordPress folks with things like content collection is a big reason that I developed the WP Project Managers Academy. Membership is free, so if you'd like to learn more about taking a content-first approach to circumvent these common bottleneck problems, then I invite you to join us. Once you do, you'll get immediate access to the free WordPress Project Management 101 roadmap. And in that roadmap, when we talk about content, let me see, I want to make sure I get this right. It's in Module 2, Lesson 3, where we cover a content-first design versus content-first development, the benefits of using a content-first approach, content-first best practices, and 5 steps of content collection. And then for those who complete the Project Management 101 roadmap in early 2020, we're going to have some advanced training that will take things further. And that includes how to craft that content rough order of magnitude and how to use it to communicate to the client and convince them to hire a copywriter. How to set the proper client expectations regarding content, how to validate your content estimate, and how to use Elementor and Content Snare to manage the content collection and organization activities. Content Snare is the tool I mentioned earlier that makes collecting the content from the client oh so much easier. And in the advanced training, we're going to have a demo of how to use that as well as how to use Elementor to create the wireframes you need before you get to the content stage. So once again, I invite you to join the WP Project Managers Academy at the link you see on your screen, and I will include that as a link on the page somewhere around this video as well. Now, in the next episode, we're going to talk about how to use a minimum viable website as another tool to combat this problem of the content collection bottleneck. So until next time, as always, stay productive, stay strong, and I'll see you soon.